A well-known Israeli company is developing technologies with innovative plant diagnostic tools that provide new solutions and improve performance in different environments.
In the past, the plants were developed for optimized conditions.
Currently, one of the most important issues in agriculture is the abiotic stress endured by plants. This stress is generated by factors such as salinity, contaminated soils, poor quality water, and lack of nutrients. It represents an annual production loss of approximately $200 million.
Today, the conditions are not optimized anymore in many cases. And what we can do, we can achieve with this system is to actually provide the ability for our customers to optimize or make it a local optimization for unoptimized conditions. So to have the best or the most yield for their plants in unoptimized conditions. This is the extra value that we bring to the market. The issue is today that this is a known issue, very big issue, a lot of research, a lot of patents registered on this issue, but very few products are in the market today dealing with this issue, providing tolerant plants, providing materials to support this issue. And the problem is not because it is not researched enough, but because there is less the technologies to support this issue, the development of products, the development of technology to help support these issues is not yet, there is a gap, it's not yet in place. What's needed in terms of the technology is the ability to screen in one time simultaneously many plants in order to reach towards the best tolerant plant that is more suitable in different ambient conditions, in different environmental conditions. In Israel, we also suffer from drought, we suffer from salinity issues, we suffer from the land space which is shrinking, and a lot of the growers now grow in the south of the country where there is desert. So there is a need to develop more tolerant plants to different soil conditions, to different water conditions, and to drought as well, to just for the fact that there is less water in the desert. So here in the Faculty of Agriculture, the technology was developed, was born, in order to provide answer to these issues in Israel, but also globally, because in other places in the world, there is the same issue, suffering from drought, from salinity, from quality of the soil and water.
We are visiting the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, the only one with a Faculty of Agriculture in Israel, where different researchers develop topics related to the environment. Among them is Professor Menachem Moshe Leon, expert in plant physiology, as well as Professor Ronnie Wallach, soil and water expert.
They came together to develop a system that can test the performance of plants versus different ambient conditions. So the technology is able to provide different ambient conditions, different conditions of soil and water to each plant, and to screen in parallel many plants in order to see who is the best performing plant under which ambient conditions is the best plant. development took about 13 years, and since that development there are many publications already published using in key leading journals using this technology to achieve the conclusions about which plants are performing the best versus different plant and water and soil conditions. How we do that? So we measure for each plant separately the soil, and we put different soil and water conditions. So once we compare between them, we can see who is the best performing plant, and with that plant to go to the field or to a nursery and to grow the correct plant.
So the problem that we are looking for here, we found that in Israel, when we irrigate with treated effluent water, because we are short of water, fresh water, the effluent water affects the soil wettability. So water cannot penetrate very easily to the soil, and this makes has some implications and bad effects on the plant, on the soil. So the next step after we found this problem is how we treat it, how we remediate the soil, and we are doing it by adding kind of chemical called surfactant to the soil. And we want to check if this chemical is causing any has a bad effect on the trees. Not in the field because it's too late. So this experiment intends to do that. And Felix will explain actually what he's doing because this is his research.
As my professor earlier mentioned, we've discovered that if we use surfactant, which is a chemical, to treat the soil, we can get rid of the problem that the Israeli farmers face, which is the problem of soil water repellency.
Investigations in the greenhouses also seek to verify that these chemicals are safe for the plant in the field.
So, and as you can see behind me here, we have two kind of citrus plants. They are the natives that are grown here in Israel, especially for the rootstock. So, and what you see behind me also is the system. So with this system, we control the irrigation, the water we give to the plants, and also the chemical. So behind me here among these plants, I have 30 of them. So, and 10 of them get just regular water with fertilizer, and 10 of them get the chemical at a more higher frequency every 6 days, while 10 others get the same chemical but every 12 days. So with this system, I'm able to control the amount of water I give to each plant, the rate at which I give the chemical, and not just that, I'm also able to measure at the same time the amount of water that gets exactly to the plant, how much the plant loses through evapotranspiration, how much the weight the plant is gaining with time.
Felix states that, although it may look simple, doing this experiment in the past without the use of this system turned out being very complicated. After 6 months, the results he obtained were inconsistent since the measurements varied with time.
With this system, I can measure for the 30 plant at exactly the same time. And not just that, from my office, I could see exactly what is happening to the plant. I could set when to irrigate, how much to irrigate. I could set the irrigation weather by volume, or also I could set the irrigation weather, irrigate each plant based on the amount of water the plant lost the previous day. So it's really a very fine system. In the soil also, not just the amount of water, I also have like sensors buried in the soil where I can actually also measure the amount of water within each root zone of the plant. So I have like, each pot I have like 2 sensors, one at the bottom and one at the top. So here I see the fluctuation. I know from where the plant is taking up more water. So, and also, if you look closely at the system, you can see like I have the two lines of irrigation, one for the water and one for the chemical, all coming together and going into the plant at the same time. So I could also mix the treatment with the fertilizer all in the same pot at the same time. We've had fantastic results, and because of this result, we're able to modify our experiment. So we could run the same experiment for like 3 months, and then we say, okay, we have this result, let's see what happens if we change this. So because the system is very flexible, it gives me the opportunity to be able to adjust the treatment. Previously, I was irrigating every day. Now we say, okay, since we've seen that every day it's good for the plant, let's see what happens if we don't irrigate every day. I just change that on my system, and automatically this program knows what to do, and the irrigation changes like that. So the whole point of every good research is to have something that the farmers can always use to their own benefit. So this research basically is to help the farmers. We don't just want to tell the farmer, okay, we have a chemical that can solve the problem of soil water repellency, go ahead and use it. No, we want to tell them more than that. We want to tell them, go ahead and use it at this rate because it's profitable, it's economical, and it's safe for your plant. Otherwise, if we just tell the farmer, go ahead and use it, and then they go and they use it, and tomorrow they have a problem with their crop, they run back to us. So we want to solve all the problem using this system before we give a fully error-proof recommendation to the farmers.
Another application is for physiology studies. Whoever deals with physiology or ecophysiology can use the system very well because we measure physiological parameters.
I'm a plant physiologist, and my main study in the university is to understand how plants manage their water. Plants take a lot of water in order to produce food. I will show how much, but it's a lot. For example, one maize, one corn, take about 100 liters from the seed until you cut the plant. This is a lot of water. And here in the university we try to understand how to improve this. When you come to study how to improve plants, it's not easy because you cannot see anything on plants. I can explain you by a different example. For example, you see these horses. If I ask you to choose, to gamble, put your money, who is going to win the race? Can you? No. And if I give you the DNA of the horse, if I give you the protein of the horse, in fact, to understand which horse is going to win, there is almost no way to guess. You actually have to let them rise and then decide. The same thing with plants. When you grow your plants, you don't know which plant is going to give you more yield. Even on the same condition, there are many parameters that actually the plants take in account in order to bring in the end the yield. And this is what we study. This is what we try to understand, how plants can really give you the best yield, the best production, depending on your condition, even if there is drought or other conditions.
It is important to know that plants actually lose a lot of water when they take the energy of the sun to carry out photosynthesis. This process occurs when small pores located in the leaves absorb CO2, a colorless and vital gas for life on Earth.
And in order to get CO2, the plant needs to lose 500 molecules of water in order to get 1 molecule of CO2. This is a lot of water. When you try to improve this, when you try to study, how can I improve it? How can I make it more efficient? You have to have a tool, you have to have some machine that help you and tell you exactly which plant, how efficient it is. And this is plant array. This is what we do with our system. Today, after we do the experiment, we have a lot of data. Each plant provides us with 500 points per day per sensor, which means thousands and thousands measuring points that we all get to the computer, and we need to find a way to analyze fast. This is why we develop a very important software. The software actually take the data, analyze it for us in a real time, and give us the data so we can really point out which plant we can use to the experiment.
This is our cloud-based analytical software, which of course you can access from everywhere in the world, from every computer with internet connection, and view your results, your experiment results, and to analyze it. In here you can select your experiment out of all experiments running in the greenhouse at the same time. In the graph viewer, you can compare different parameters by different lines or different groups of plants, or even each plant individually, for different periods of times during the experiment. And here I select the dates that are interesting to me. Here I select the labels, let's say the lines or different groups I want to compare. And this is the list of parameters I can show on the graphs. I can see one parameter and I can see two parameters on the same graph, and to compare double parameters. So as you can see, we have a very long list of parameters where we can show it. Some of it are sensor measured, weight, and meteorological information such as temperature, relative humidity, and so on. And some of it are calculated parameters derived from the measurements being done by the sensors. And the most basic one, and the one that gives you the best picture of the experiment progress, is the weight. Let's say I want to see the weight. I select the labels I want to compare. I selected two different lines. This is a typical experiment picture being done in our greenhouse. It's a drought experiment. You can see here 36 plants on the same graph. The first period we can see is a pre-treatment, normal irrigation period, then drought. You can see the weight goes down for more than 1 week. Recovery, we irrigate it well again in order to recover the plants. Another part of drought and a less recovery. This is a typical experiment being done in our greenhouse. This is a tobacco plants actually, but it can be done with any different crop.
Our customers today are mainly universities, research institutes. We have chemical companies using our system. We have also for different fertilization and biostimulants applications. We have also service centers around the world that provide service to whoever needs to test different materials, different soils and so forth. And we hope to make more of these places to provide faster ability and access to different researchers in the world to have their own research being applied, again, to achieve better yields, better performing plants in unoptimized conditions.